sunshine. I am so excited to be sitting here talking with you all because I truly believe that this blanket has the ability to change lives. I know it changed my life, and I just want to, you know, share the greatness with you all. So if you're somebody who hates long intros, you're gonna hate me because I never shut up. But I want to talk to you all about kind of how I stumbled upon this blanket, what my anxiety is like, and so you can kind of compare your own mental illness with mine, just to kind of see maybe this might be something that works for you. And then, you know, if you find that you don't relate to my experience with anxiety, maybe it won't work for you. I don't know. I just want to share what I know, what I've been through, so you guys can kind of relate and kind of make your own personal judgments. So I think I've had anxiety for like ever. I just remember like when I was in first grade, like forever, like first grade, I used to be afraid to go to school because I was terrified that if I went to school, that a helicopter would crash onto my house and kill my entire family. We did not live near an airport. We did not live in an air flight travel zone where like helicopters, like there were never helicopters around my house. So I have always lived with these extreme intrusive thoughts, like kind of my OCD and my anxiety go hand in hand, where like if I don't put on 3 swipes of deodorant, I'm going to have a bad day. If I don't count to 3 when I close the shower door, my dad's going to get into a car accident. It's like that for me. Like I have to do certain things. I have a certain pair of jeans I'm now afraid of wearing because I had a bad day in them. I have certain bras that are my good luck bras. I have certain pieces of shirts that if I wear them, everything's going to be bad. Like I know it's stupid, but that's just the way my brain works, my mental illness. Like, you know, I hate it. I really do hate it because I know it's stupid. But so I have always had anxiety. But 2 years ago, I had an accidental overdose on my migraine medication, and after that overdose, I had my very first anxiety attack. Literally, I took too much medication. 2 hours later, I was sitting in my office, and my heart started pounding, and I'm like, oh my God, like this feeling of true terror freaking washed over me. And I was like my heart's going, this signifies my heart going, but my heart was going, and I was like, oh my God, something is so wrong. Something is about, like, something's gonna happen. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna have a heart attack. And now 2 years later, even though I have great cholesterol, like, yeah, I'm overweight, but my doctor's like, you're not going to have a heart attack. Your cholesterol is great. So I am constantly afraid I'm gonna have a heart attack. I'm scared to take medications. But I had my very first anxiety attack, and I could not function for a solid 6 months because while mental illness does run in my family, anxiety doesn't run in my family. I'm kind of the first person to ever have anxiety in my family. So for a long time, my parents were like, suck it up. Like, you're fine. Everything's fine. This is all in your head. Stop being a baby. And then they kind of like realized that something was actually wrong, and they were like, okay, you need to go to the doctor. And me being the person I am, I hate doctors because they do nothing but screw up my life. I finally went to the doctor. They put me on medication. I was put on Zoloft for my anxiety, and then they put me on Zoloft, and then they also put me on Wellbutrin to kind of counteract the side effects of the Zoloft, but also because I was struggling with my depression so severely. I've noticed that as I've gotten older, my anxiety is worse, but so is my depression. So I was put on medications, and then I started having problems with those medications. And so I finally was like, you know what? I'm done taking medications. I'm done listening to doctors. So I got off the medications, and I have been off of my anxiety medications since June 2017. I have been taking care of everything going on inside of my head all naturally. Now, I'm not somebody who's like, I am not somebody who is like, you know, meditate and I feel better. Like, I find meditation makes me worse. I do exercise. Sometimes that makes me better. Sometimes that makes me worse. I limit certain foods. There's certain foods that I find that interact with everything inside of my brain, and I feel worse. So, but I am not on any medications for my mental illnesses. I have days where my anxiety is like great and everything is fine and I can function and I kind of feel like what I believe a normal person should feel like. And then there are other days, like the past month, where I have done nothing but hyper focus on things and literally it will keep me up at night. Like it's stressful. So as I'm going through this period where I'm hyper focusing and literally I feel like the world is out to get me. I feel like everybody's gonna, you know, come and destroy me. I was looking on Pinterest and I was like, okay, what can I do? There has to be something out there that can help me calm down my anxiety attacks. And I was scrolling through, scroll, and I found something called a weighted blanket. And I was like, So I did a little bit of research on the weighted blanket, and I found that weighted blankets are used in psychiatry or psychology, whatever, for kids who have spectrum disorders. But there was also research done for to use these weighted blankets on people who have depression, anxiety, ADHD, OCD. So I'm like, wow, that sounds great. So I was, you know, did some research and I'm like, okay, this sounds like something that I could actually use. So I went on Amazon and I was like, typed in weighted blanket, and girl, the price tag on a blanket was $100. No, I am not, no, that price tag alone gave me an anxiety attack. I was not about to drop $100 on something that I didn't even know if it was going to work for me. Basically, from what I understand, the science behind a weighted blanket is you have problems with serotonin not being released in that brain of yours. So a weighted blanket makes your body think you're being hugged, so it releases serotonin. That's my understanding of the science. I'm not a scientist at all. But I was like, okay, I'm not spending $100 on a blanket, but this does sound like something that will work for me. I sat down and I started thinking, and I was like, what can I do? How can I make my own weighted blanket? Now, I am plus sized, and they kind of have a little chart that you follow along. Like, if you weigh 150, you should use a 10-pound weighted blanket. I didn't exactly follow along with that chart. I didn't follow along with any specific recommendations for my weight based on the weighted blanket. What I did is I went to Harbor Freight and I looked at their moving blankets, and I literally just went and I physically picked up all of the blankets, and I was like, this one feels heavy. I just picked it up. It felt heavy enough to me, and I grabbed 3 of them, checked out, and I spent $24 on 3 blankets. I actually only ended up using 2 blankets for the purposes of my weighted blanket. So I did end up buying an extra weighted blanket. But my thinking was if I ever decide, if I gain more weight, or if my body suddenly decides that the 2 blankets that I have put together aren't heavy enough, I can always throw the 3rd one on top. So I do have a video of me putting together the blanket. I did have help with this blanket because I wanted to record, but I also needed help putting the blanket together. So here's the video on how I put together my very own DIY weighted blanket.
So here I have a pin, and I've just pinned the 2 blankets together to make everything easier when I go to sew the blankets together. And I'm sewing the 2 blankets together because I want them to be attached. I don't want to have to move 2 blankets like separately just so I can use my blanket. And plus, when I stuff them inside of the duvet cover, this just makes everything easier. So I'm just sewing the 2 blankets together. If you weigh less than me, if you want less weight, you can only use 1 blanket. Again, this is really all up to you and your personal preferences for your weighted blanket.
So here is my blanket now. That blue blanket is called a moving blanket, is actually inside of this duvet cover. Basically what a duvet cover is, this is like a little, like a Muppet character. Like, what if I just sat there? You can't really, can you see his mouth like right there? Like, what am I doing? Okay, but basically what a moving blanket is you wrap it around furniture and stuff to keep your furniture safe when you're moving. But I put the 2 moving blankets sewn together inside this duvet cover. A duvet cover is a cover that you put over top a comforter to change things up. I don't really know why people use duvet covers, but I grabbed this duvet cover on Amazon. Now, let me tell you, I would not recommend making the same stupid mistake that I did and purchasing this blanket. I like to fidget. I'm somebody who likes to fidget. I like to feel things. And when I saw this blanket on Amazon, I went, golly. Why did I just say golly? I don't know. But I was like, wow, that looks soft. Like, it looks like something, you know, nice and relaxing. I got this blanket, and let me tell you, it has been the biggest waste of $70 ever. It freaking, like, all the fur falls out. Like, it falls out, and it's made a huge mess. If I could go back in time, I would just pick up a plain black duvet cover, which would run you around $20. So you can make your own cute weighted blanket for $40, but if you're not somebody who's into aesthetics or you're really strictly on a budget, honestly, it's an anxiety blanket. It doesn't have to be super cosmetically appealing at the very moment, so you can make your own blanket for like $16. But basically, I just put my weighted blanket inside of the duvet cover. I now fold it up and keep it on my bed. I use this whenever I'm having an anxiety attack, whenever I feel restless, whenever I can't focus. I will sometimes pair this with like a squishy or like a silly putty or something like that if I'm really bad. But if you are on a budget, I would say go to Harbor Freight, pick up 2 moving blankets. You don't even have to sew them together. If you're lighter than me, which you might be, you probably are, I would say 1 weighted blanket, folded it in half. I mean, 1 moving blanket folded in half would be fine. But if you like a lot of weight on you, I would say 2 moving blankets folded in half on top of you will be great. No sewing required. But if you want to make things look a little more attractive, if you want to have this laying around your house and maybe not shove it in your closet, like, you know, that's why I got the duvet cover. I would suggest picking up a duvet cover. I got a size queen on Amazon, just because I picked up a really big moving blanket because I wanted the weight. But again, you could get your own duvet cover from Walmart for $20, and you have a $40 blanket personalized to what your personal like weight preferences are, and you can make it yourself, and it's a lot cheaper than $100, $120, $300 weighted blanket. Okay, that is it I wanted to share with you all. I hope you enjoy your own weighted blanket. Please, if you have any questions, I'm always here, always here. I do my very best to respond to all the questions I get. I'm sorry if I ever miss your question, but you can always blow up my comments, and then I'll definitely see it if you blow up my comments. If you have the chance, I would love for you to check out my cosmetic business down in the description box down below. I sell makeup brushes and lip scrubs and body scrubs. All of my products are 100% vegan and cruelty-free, but if you have the chance to check that out, I would love to hear any feedback from you. As always, I love hearing from you all, and I will see you in my next video.